Hello, Facebook. Let's see here. All right, let me share this in a group. Where can I get the feed? Oh, she got it. You got it, Joyful. Sorry, someone was messaging me. They couldn't see this. Sounds like she can now. Okay, let me share this in a group really quick and just give a minute for some people to pop on live. And then I shall get started. Share this in my group. Share to group. Okay. Okay. All right, so hello to those of you on live, and also hello to those of you watching the replay. Hi, Lois. Hi, Vlatka. Nice to see both of you. Okay, so let me get started here. So what I am going to talk about today is the female pain body. If you've been following me, you see that I've been posting a lot about the female pain body lately, and that I have an upcoming course, Healing the Female Pain Body, that I am so excited about. I am really lit up and excited about this topic. I see it as a huge issue that women are struggling with, and a huge issue that is holding women back, particularly in their relationships with men. It was a huge issue for me that held me back for years in my relationships with men. And when I worked on healing the female pain body within myself, I had a dramatic, like literally night and day shift around my relationships with men. Night and day. I used to hate men. Like I hated them. I actually have a tattoo on my arm of a Girl Scout with a killer knife, with a bloody knife that I got when I was 19. And it was a character that I made of a Girl Scout with a bloody knife who would go around and kill men. That's how much I hated them. And needless to say, all of my relationships with men were very painful. They had a lot of drama. I was constantly triggered by men and my relationships with them. There were behaviors that I didn't know how to stop myself from, that I now know were behaviors of the pain body. And I was also attracting men who had a really strong pain body as well. And what that does in a relationship is it just causes you to be in a constant state of triggering each other, causes a lot of arguments, a lot of unhappiness in the relationship. So it's just a huge issue in our intimate relationships. And when I had this aha that what was going on for me is that I had a lot of pain. I was carrying around a lot of pain inside me. Particularly, I had a lot of pain towards men, and I worked on healing that. It was a night and day transformation with me. I now have the most loving, most supportive, most intimate relationships with men. As in a large context, I have men in my life who just support me and are there for me at the drop of a hat. And I have an intimate, I'm in a monogamous relationship, and it is the most peaceful, easy, loving, intimate, I can almost cry right now, relationship. And it's something I thought I could never have. It's the kind of relationship I have now, I could have never. I could have never imagined for myself. And it's so wonderful to have it. It's so incredibly wonderful to have such a joyful, easy, supportive relationship full of so much love and intimacy and really wonderful sex. And so what I know to be true is that if I can do this, you can too. So if you're struggling in your relationships, in your intimate relationships, healing your pain body is one of the most supportive things you can do to help change that for yourself. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Oh, I wasn't expecting to get all emotional. Thank you. Thank you for the hearts. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a few things. So let me just name those. I'm going to talk about what is the female pain body. I've had some people ask that question. What do you mean by the female pain body? I'm going to talk about how we acquire the female pain body. Where does it come from? I'm going to then talk about how does it sabotage our relationships, and then what to do about it. And then I'll talk about the benefits of healing the female pain body, and I'll tell you about the course that I have coming up, Healing the Female Pain Body. So that's going to be the process of this live stream. And if you have any questions that come up as I'm going through this material, pop them in the comments. I love getting comments. If you have an aha or a question, pop them in the comments. Or if something just resonates, send a heart or a thumbs up. I love all of that stuff. It makes me feel like I'm not alone. There's people out there that I can interact with. So I really appreciate that. So first, what is the female pain body? What do I mean when I say that? That's actually a term that I took from a spiritual teacher named Eckhart Tolle. You might be familiar with him. And it comes from his book, New Earth. That's the name of it, The New Earth. And in The New Earth, he talks about what he calls the pain body. And because I work with women, and because I am a woman, and my work is inspired by my own journey, what I've been focusing on is the female pain body. And what I mean by that is the accumulation of unprocessed emotions that you have stored in your body. That could be unprocessed rage, unprocessed grief. Those are usually the two big ones, rage and grief, that we're have stored in our bodies. Could also be fear. And there's lots of other less intense emotions that are offshoots of those, but at the base, it's often rage and grief. So the amount of accumulated emotional pain that you have in the body that is left unprocessed, and the emotional pain that is particular to women. And what this emotional pain usually revolves around are a few things. One is men. Most women have a lot of accumulated emotional pain around their relationships with men. Another is our relationship with our sexuality. A lot of women have accumulated emotional pain around sexuality, and I'll talk about how that gets acquired. And another one is our relationship with our mothers. And that one is a deep one that I'll be going into more as I go through the content today. And of course, there's other things as well, but those tend to be the big three: men, sex, mother. Those are definitely the big three. So that's what I mean when I say female pain body. So the next thing I want to talk about is If that makes sense, give me some thumbs ups or some hearts if that makes sense to you. If it doesn't make sense, ask me a question. So I have just, when I do live streams, I make notes. Okay, good. Looks like that makes sense to a lot of people. So I'm just looking at my notes, but they're very general. Most of it I just speak from the moment, but I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So that's what I mean when I say female pain body. And so the next thing is, how do we, oh great, looks like everybody's getting it. How do we acquire the female pain body? There's lots of different ways, but there's 3 main ways that we acquire our female pain body. So I'm going to touch on all 3. So the first way is through energetically merging with our mother's pain. If you've followed me at all, you know that I talk about this a lot, the mother merge. What happens is we spend 9 months literally inside of our mothers, and then as energetically open children, we are immersed within her field. And she has an imprint on us. We merge with her wounding. We merge with her pain body. Most of us had mothers who had very heavy pain bodies. I know some of us were lucky and we didn't, but the majority of us did. And our mothers had very heavy pain bodies around being a woman, around their sexuality, and around their relationships with men. And we merge with that. We take that on as if it's our own. And then we play out behaviors because of that merge. I'll just give a concrete example to help this make sense. I was working with a client who had a lot of pain around her relationships with men. And her big thing was that she always felt disappointed by men. She always thought men were disappointing, and she always felt disappointed in her relationships with men. When I asked her what have men been doing that's been so disappointing, she couldn't really name anything. Nothing really substantial. I mean, little things, but nothing that would make her have such a heavy feeling of disappointment around men. And so then I asked her, what was your mother's relationship like with your father? Did she feel disappointed by him? And this huge light bulb went off for her. And she said, yes, my father became an alcoholic. And all I remember my mother saying was how disappointed she was in him. So she merged with this energy, this heavy energy of pain and disappointment around men, but it wasn't actually hers. And it wasn't actually her life experience with men. It was a merge with her mother. So that's how the mother merge works. And that's where a lot of our pain body comes from, is from the imprint from our mother. This isn't about blaming our mothers. This is just looking at the reality of what's going on. So that's one place where we acquire our female pain body. Another is just from our personal experiences. So if you've ever been sexually violated by a man and you didn't fully process through that violation, that's going to be an accumulation of painful emotions that are stuck in your body. If you've been hurt by a man in the past and you didn't fully process through that, that's going to add to the accumulation of pain that you have in the body. If just for women, especially men too, but for women especially, growing up in this culture where there's so much shame around female sexuality, it's everywhere. You probably got it from church, you probably got it from your family. And if you haven't taken time to process through that, that adds to the accumulation of emotional pain in the body. Shame is a heavy pain body energy. So through mother merge, through personal experience, And another way we accumulate our female pain body is through the collective female pain body. And I'll give a personal story of what I'm talking about when I say that. There was a process that I was in where I suddenly realized, I saw that I had at some point made an unconscious agreement that because so many of my sisters, the women in the world, were suffering, were unhappy, didn't enjoy their sexuality, had a lot of anger and unhappiness, I made an unconscious agreement to join them. I call it like a tribal agreement that I didn't even realize I'd made. It was deeply unconscious. And that I was merging with the collective pain that women felt as a way to be in solidarity with women. Because I want to be in solidarity with women. That's a desire of mine. And the way I thought I had to do that was to join them in their suffering. This is a big thing that's up right now because of everything that's coming out. The Me Too movement is an example. So what I loved about the Me Too movement is that it exposed something for men that men weren't aware of and has made them a lot more aware. Women, we already know this stuff. So that's what I loved about it. What's tricky about it, though, is that it's activated this collective female pain body and activated the place where unconsciously, to be in solidarity with women, you want to stay in that space of pain and hurt around men instead of really stepping into the vibrancy of your sexuality and have a deeply loving relationship with a man. And what it will feel like when you step out of that is you're betraying other women. So those are the three big places where we accumulate our female pain body: through merging with our mother. And it's the same mechanism. When you start to step away from it, you feel like you're betraying her. So merging with our mother, personal experiences, and collective female pain body. Those are the big places where we acquire our female pain body. So do me a favor, if that made sense, send some emojis. If not, ask a question, please. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it looks like some of you that made sense. If it didn't, if you have questions, just pop them in the comment box. Okay, so I talked about what the female pain body is. Oh, great. Thank you for all those emojis. Great, I'm glad that this is making sense for people. So I talked about what the female pain body is and how we acquire the female pain body. So now what I want to talk about is how it sabotages our relationships. If you have a heavy, unprocessed female pain body, it will wreak havoc on your relationships. Joyful says, makes sense. Okay, great. And it's also likely that you will attract men who also have a heavy pain body as well, a heavy unprocessed pain body. This was so true for me. Before I worked on healing my pain body, whoa, that's a lot of emojis. I attracted men who also had heavy pain bodies. I attracted men who had addictions. I attracted a man who was literally a pathological liar. I don't say that lightly. And when I would confront him about things that I felt he was lying about, he would gaslight me. I was in a relationship with a man who once told me he hated vaginas. So because of my heavy female pain body, I was attracting men who had heavy unprocessed pain bodies as well. And when you get two people in a relationship who both have heavy pain bodies that are unprocessed, what pain bodies do is they feed off of each other, because the pain body's objective is to stay alive. The way it stays alive is to acquire more pain. So when you're in a relationship with someone who has a heavy pain body and you have that, it's just a lot of drama. You're constantly triggered by each other. You're having a lot of arguments. Arguments are just a result of the pain body. If you don't have a pain body and something comes up in your relationship, you can easily talk your way through it. You communicate your way through it. Arguing is the pain body. So one thing that happens when you have a heavy pain body is you're likely to attract partners who also have a heavy pain body. And then there are certain behaviors that will show up for you that are a result of the pain. So I'm going to talk about just a few of those behaviors. There's quite a few of them, but I'll talk about a few of the common ones just to ground in and give a ground to what I'm talking about. So one of the behaviors that shows up, particularly for women when we have a strong, heavy emotional pain body, is overreactivity. Feeling easily upset, triggered, offended by our partner. Now, this doesn't mean that sometimes our partner might genuinely do something that we need to address. But when you have a heavy pain body, you will mistaken things that your partner did that are actually healthy and normal, and you will feel triggered by them. One example of that is if your partner is in a place where he needs a little bit of alone time or a little bit of space, he needs to go into his man cave. That's healthy for a man to do. But if you have a heavy pain body, it'll trigger your wounds in there, and you'll feel triggered by it, you'll feel abandoned by it, you'll get anxious, and then with the overreactivity, you'll want to come in and start an argument with him. So feeling constantly triggered and overreacting is a result of the pain body. Again, it doesn't mean there may not be times where your partner did something that is upsetting. But even when that happens, if you've processed through your pain body, you have a ground. There's a ground in you where you don't have to react. You can just look at your partner and go, oh, okay, they just said this thing that was hurtful. They just did this thing that was hurtful. Maybe they withdrew a little bit. But instead of reacting, having a reactivity and starting a fight with them, you can be with your own emotions. And notice that your own pain body is reacting without having to take action on that reaction. You're a lot more able to do that when you start working through your pain body. When you have a heavy pain body, the pain is so bad, all you want to do is react. I used to do that all the time. I was so reactive to any little thing my partner would do. Any little thing I would have a huge reaction to. And then I would, this is another one of the behaviors I'm going to talk about, is that I would, if he did something that I felt hurt by, the pain in me was so deep that I would try and do something to hurt him back. Even if he was completely oblivious to what he did, it wasn't anything that he was doing on purpose. So that's another one of the behaviors, is feeling so deeply lost in your pain body that all you want to do is hurt someone back. And ways that can show up are saying something that you know is going to hurt that person. And often as women, we do that really passive aggressively. Like we'll say something that almost looks like it's supposed to be nice, but really it's a little knife that we're sending towards our loved one. And another behavior, yeah, people are getting that. Yeah, good. Okay, I'm glad I'm glad you're noticing that in yourself. So another behavior when you have a heavy pain body is if your heavy pain body gets activated, instead of sending a little knife their way, another thing that women will tend to do is just withdraw, like withdraw their love, withdraw their heart, withdraw their attention. I remember when my pain body would get activated and my partner would send me a text like, I love you, I would just like send back a smiley face. I wouldn't say I love you back. Like it was a way I was withholding my love because I felt hurt. And also it was a way for me to try and punish him, which is another behavior that shows up for women when you have a heavy pain body, is trying to punish your partner. And often how we try and punish them is to withhold love or withhold sex. But it's pain body reactivity. You don't really want to withhold love. You don't really want to withhold sex. It's just all you can think to do because you're in so much pain. So it's understandable. But once you start to work on healing your female pain body, that all changes. Okay, so those are some of the behaviors and ways that the pain body sabotages the relationship. Again, if you have questions, Andrea says, I'm in. Yes. Andrea enrolled in the course this morning. So happy to have you, Andrea. If you have questions, pop them in the comment box. And if you're getting what I'm saying, there's some emojis. Thank you. Okay. So we talked about what the female pain body is. We talked about how we accumulate the female pain body. We talked about how it sabotages our relationships. And so now what I want to talk about is, what was the next thing? Oh, what to do about it. Of course. Okay. What to do about the female pain body. Let me just see my notes on this one. Okay. So this is a huge topic. And this is what we're going to be doing in my course, Healing the Female Pain Body. We're going to be going deeply into the tools you can use to actually heal this pain body so it doesn't sabotage you anymore. One of the things that is necessary for healing the female pain body is to understand how to access and process through the stored up painful emotions that you're holding in your body. Mostly we store grief in our heart space and we store rage in our pelvis. And there's a process that I'll be teaching in my course that will show you exactly how to access that grief and how to access that rage and start to move it through and release it. Because it's that stored up pain that is causing these sabotaging behaviors. And so you need to move that stored up pain through the body. So in the course, I'll be showing you exactly how to do that. And just through that alone, that's going to significantly lighten up your pain body. So another part of moving through the pain body, when I talked about the fact that a lot of the pain body that we're carrying is emerged from our mother, another part of moving through the pain body is learning how to differentiate between what is you, what is actually your pain body that you've accumulated in your lifetime versus what have you merged with from your mother. What is just an imprint from your mother. So in the course, we'll be going deeply, deeply, deeply into that. What's you, what's not you, and how do you disengage from that which is not you? If I go back to that client I spoke about who merged with her mother's deep disappointment around men, when I worked with her with the mother merge process that I teach, she was able to see, wow, that's not me, that's just mom. And that made a significant shift in her relationships with men. She was able to start letting love in because she wasn't feeling perpetually disappointed all the time, because her perpetual disappointment was never hers. And the thing about the mother merge work is that often the reason why people are in therapy for years and years and years and things don't shift is because they're attempting to shift issues and wounding and pain that never belonged to them. And what the work needs to become is how to disengage from that which is not you. So that's another big part of what we'll be doing in the Healing the Female Pain Body course, is helping you understand what's you and what's not you, and giving you the tools to disengage from what's not you. And this is huge. I've seen this make a huge difference in my clients' lives. They will talk about it all the time. They will tell me all the time, I made more shifts with you in 6 sessions than I did in years of therapy. And this is why, because this is a huge, huge thing that most women don't know, that a lot of your pain is not yours. So that's something we'll be doing in the course. Let's see. Another thing is how to recognize those behaviors, those pain body behaviors, how to recognize them as pain body behaviors, and how to handle those behaviors when they arise. So there's a process around recognizing that the pain is coming up and knowing how to process through that pain without having to react to your partner, and actually lean towards making a completely different choice, a completely different behavior. So if your normal behavior when you're feeling hurt with your partner is to try and hurt him back, in the course, what we're going to teach you is how to be with that pain, how to let it move through without reacting, and then make a completely different choice, which might be giving your partner an appreciation instead. And as you do this, what you start to do is so right now for most people, the pain body is running you. That's why it's so hard not to react and hurt your partner back, because the pain body has control of you. And so what we're going to do in this course is teach you how to be in control of it. So for me, it's not that I have zero pain body. I've worked through enormous amounts of it. It still comes up sometimes. But I know when it comes up, it doesn't control me. I know how to work with it, and I know how to not follow it with reactivity. So we're going to be going into that in the course. And then another thing is, this one I love, is waking up your sexual energy, your orgasmic energy. Your orgasmic energy, like the sexual energy, the juicy, alive, sexual energy, is what I call a healing salve for the pain. Sex, orgasms, they will help break up the accumulated pain in the body. You don't have to have a partner even for that. In the course, I'm going to be teaching some simple practices to help you awaken your orgasmic energy, so you have more access to it, and you can use that to dislodge the stuck painful emotions from your body. And when you have more, when your sexual energy is more alive and awake inside of you, it makes it harder and harder to accumulate more pain, because you start to feel good and you start to notice that you want to feel good, and that the pain starts to be uninteresting. It's interesting now because the pain body wants to feed itself. But once you start to work through enough of it and you wake up enough of your sexual energy, the pain becomes really uninteresting to you. And your body is now full of the sexual, juicy, alive energy. So there's less space in your body for pain to even live, for these painful emotions to be stored. So in the course, that's also what we're going to work on. And there's other things as well. I just wanted to name a few of the ways to work through the female pain body. Carrie says, totally getting it. Yay. Okay. Any questions about that? If that made sense to you, send some emojis so I know. And then wanted to touch on what are the benefits that you'll receive from healing your female pain body? Because there's a lot. And you probably already get the gist of some of them, but let me just name some. This is what I've seen from my own journey and from my work with hundreds of clients. I work with hundreds of clients around the globe. So this is coming from the field. So when you heal your female pain body, you can begin to have a deeply intimate, sexually alive, easy relationship. Our intimate relationships are not meant to be so hard. We are not meant to be constantly triggered in them. That is just pain body. That's all it is. So that's a benefit. Your relationships will get easier and more intimate. You'll have easier access to your sexual energy, because as you clear away the pain, as I said, that gives space in your body for your sexual orgasmic energy to live. You can let go of things like resentment, bitterness, blame, and disappointment. Those are things that women often struggle with that are a result of the deeper grief and rage that's been unprocessed. So those emotions, resentment, blame, disappointment, what are the other ones I said? Bitterness, those are all offshoots of the grief and the rage. So as you process through the grief and the rage, those things just naturally start to fall away, as does complaining. I used to complain all the time. I was like a nonstop complainer, especially to my partner. Now it just fell away naturally. I can't remember the last time I complained about anything to my partner. It just fell away. If you're single, working through your emotional pain body will help attract a healthy, conscious, loving partner. Like I said, it wasn't until I worked through my female pain body that I could attract the kind of partner that I have now. He's one of the most loving, deeply present, conscious men I've ever known. And I could never have attracted him before that. I was only attracting men who had heavy pain bodies too, who hadn't processed through them. So if you're single, it will totally change the trajectory of the kind of men that you attract into your life. You'll feel happier, lighter, and more turned on about life. As you let go of the heaviness of the pain body, that's just naturally going to occur. And you start to feel more empowered as a woman. A lot of the ways that we feel disempowered as a woman is actually our pain body causing disempowered behaviors. So those behaviors that I talked about, they're a result of the pain body, but they're also disempowered behaviors. Wanting to hurt your partner or punish them by withdrawing, those are just disempowered behaviors. That's all. So as you work through the pain body, you naturally just become in a more state of self-empowerment within yourself. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to stay within yourself and take self-responsibility for your experience when the pain isn't making you be like, ah, I want to kill everybody. I want to kill him. It's his fault that I feel this way. That starts to naturally fall away too. And you just have more vibrancy. You have more radiance as a woman when you're not in this heavy pain body. Like, ugh. You see some women, they just look so lacking their radiance and their vibrancy and their aliveness that's so natural to us as women. So that starts to just naturally come back online when we let go of the heaviness of our pain body. So those are some of the benefits. There's more, but just wanted to name some. And the last thing I wanted to touch on, unless anyone has any questions, is the course that I have coming up. So I have a course coming up. It's called Healing the Female Pain Body. It's a 6-week live course that starts October 5th. We're going to dive deeply into all of the things that I've been talking about in this live stream at a very deep level. The calls will be recorded, so if you can't make one live, you'll still get access to it. And I just opened up pre-enrollment. There's a really big $497 bonus for those that pre-enroll. And there's also an early fast enroll bonus too of a half-an-hour private session with me. And there were 5 of those, and there's only 2 of those spots left, maybe more if I check my Facebook. But for right now, I'll say there's 2 of those spots left. If you want more information about the course, just send me a PM or comment that you want the details here on this live stream, and I'll send those to you in a PM. Or if you'd rather get it in your email, just give me your email and I'll send it to you in the email. I don't have an official sign-up page for it yet. That's why this is the pre-enrollment period. But if you pre-enroll, essentially your bonus is going to be my Have Sex Like a Goddess course, which is almost $500 course. The price of the Healing Your Female Pain Body course with the pre-enrollment is $497. So you're getting 2 courses for the price of one, and if you're one of the first 5 that enroll, you'll get a half-an-hour private session with me too. It's a super insane deal. I wanted to make this easy for people because I really want women to have this. I really, really want women to have this. Like, I'm very on fire about this right now because I just see it everywhere. Everywhere I go, I just see women lost in their female pain bodies. And I know what that's like because I used to be there, and I know what it's like to be on the other side of it. Not that I have zero pain body, but I feel definitely on the other side of it, and I know how good it is. And I want other women to have that. I want other women to play with in this place. It's like what I see is women look like they live in a desert, and I feel like I live in an island, and I want more women on my island. So I tried to make this as an easy of a yes if you're a yes to it. There's also a payment plan option too. So again, if you want the details for that, send me a PM or just drop a comment. So let's see, I think there's been a few questions. So Hayward says, I would love to ask you a question, but it's intensely private. Okay, no problem, just send me a PM. I'm happy to answer your question. If anyone else has questions that feel too private, send me a PM. I'm here and happy to support you. Carrie says, what if our current partner has the heavy pain body? That's a tricky question to answer without knowing more details. But my first question is your partner open to getting support and moving through his or her pain body? And if they are not, the best you can do is, there's a quote from Eckhart Tolle that I love. He says, if this is an unhappy situation for you, which I imagine it is if you have a partner with a heavy pain body, is you have 3 choices in any unhappy situation. One is to accept the situation as it is. So if you want to stay with your partner, your best bet is to completely accept it as it is and continue just to work on your own pain body. Change it so you can tell your partner, I would love for you to get some help around this, and see if that works. Often it doesn't. Or leave the situation. So if you have a partner with a really heavy pain body and it's causing a lot of pain in your relationship, you always have the volition to leave, even though I know that's not easy. So I would need to hear a little more about whether your partner's open to getting help around that. And just encourage you to keep working on your own pain body and to investigate what had you get in a relationship with someone with a heavy pain body. Maybe there's unprocessed pain body of your own that you're not aware yet that would have you get in a relationship with someone, which I totally understand. Like I said, I've been in relationships with a lot of people with heavy pain bodies. So that's the best I can say to that without knowing a lot more about the situation. Okay. Any other questions? I'll just give a second if anyone has any last questions. Let me make sure I remembered everything I was going to talk about. I think I did. I think that was it. Again, feel free to send a PM if you have a question that you weren't comfortable asking here. And send a PM or a comment if you would like the details for the course. All right, have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.